So, funny story. When I was in kindergarten, I had a bit of an obsession with a Sesame Street sketch called The King of Eight. It's a short, 1 minute long stop motion animation about a king who rules over a kingdom themed around the number 8. And I was absolutely obsessed with it. In fact, both my sister and myself were for some reason. We would reenact it with each other, playing out the very simple scenes of the sketch and making up our own, and also just watching the thing on loop. I remember one morning before I had to leave for school, I told my sister that I would do nothing but watch The King of Eight, and I sat there and I watched it again and again and again for like an hour straight. Well, actually, I wanted to do it for an hour, but I got bored, and I believe I only watched it roughly 8 times, which is pretty fitting, I guess. Well, it is pretty funny to look back on how obsessed my sister and I were with this one single Sesame Street sketch. I've got to say, seeing it again now, it still really holds up. It's a very sweet, wholesome, and quick little Sesame Street sketch that really encapsulates a lot of what early Sesame Street was. It's a bit rough around the edges, it's not the most pristine looking stop motion out there, but it works. It's funny, it's educational, and it's got a pretty catchy song to go along with it. The King of Eight has gone down in history as one of the definitive Sesame Street animated segments, being referenced time and time again on Sesame Street still to this day. But did you know that the King of Eight wasn't alone? In fact, there was another stop motion just like it that aired a few episodes before, but has been pretty forgotten about compared to the King of Eight, that is. I'm, of course, talking about the Queen of Six. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Muptown Funk. I'm your host, Ty, and in today's episode of Sesame Street History Lesson, I want to talk about one of my favorite lesser-known Sesame Street animated segments, the Queen of Six. The Queen of Six is a surprisingly old Sesame Street segment, first appearing in episode 223, which aired on March 17th of 1971 as part of the second ever season of Sesame Street. One of the numbers of the day this episode was the number 6, and so the Queen of Six aired in the episode as the second sketch in it, right after the iconic jazz number 6. The Queen of Six was written by Jim Henson and Keith Vernon Textor, with the voiceover being performed by William Roscoe Mercer, a radio host and commercial announcer who did a variety of voiceover roles for Jim Henson and Sesame Street, including voicing Limbo, the scariest Muppet ever made. The segment is only 1 minute and 5 seconds long, filmed entirely in stop motion, with a jazzy musical beat playing as Mercer sings and narrates about the Queen of Six.
In the garden of the Queen of Six is where the Queen gets her kicks.
The short takes place in the garden of the Queen of Six, which we enter at the very beginning, going through gates that have the number 6 on them. Inside, we see the Queen of Six prancing along a path of bricks that are, of course, shaped like the number 6. The Queen moves in a very elegant way, revealing her magic wand, as the narration explains that she knows a lot of magic tricks, like making trees from candlesticks. Bars.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And look, I know everything here is in miniature because it's stop motion, but I just realized how massive those candlesticks are in universe. Like, those are basically lampposts to the Queen. 6 birds land in a tree, creating 6 nests, each containing 6 chicks, of course.
Within these nests of twigs and sticks are 6 little hungry baby chicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
After this, we see 6 magic flowers growing in the garden. 6 kittens begin to scurry around as the Queen sings them a lullaby, which is expertly placed into the music. It sounds beautiful.
6 little kittens play nearby as the Queen sings a lullaby.
It's this really sweet melody, but whenever I hear it now, I can't stop thinking about the part in that new Lady Gaga song where she asks herself to sing a sinful melody and starts going off.
6 little kittens play nearby as the Queen sings a lullaby.
Same energy. The Queen creates beds for the kittens, and they all fall asleep, dreaming of magic tricks that all end up with the number 6. And with that, we come to an end. There's something so sweet and wholesome with this sketch, Just the simplicity of the queen dancing around her garden, all of the animals bobbing up and down, the simple, deep voice narration and simplistic music track behind it. It's almost eerie, but it's also very comforting. The Queen of Six and King of Eight were made at roughly the same time, it seems, with the Queen of Six airing 2 episodes before the King of Eight. The King of Eight featured all of the same people working on it, with Jim Henson, Texter, and Mercer all being a part of this as well. Although the King of Eight features additional voiceover work from Jim Henson and a bit of a more comedic element to it. Famed Muppet designer Don Saline also worked on this segment. Saline's other credits include a wide variety of iconic Muppet characters, and the Jim Henson's Red Book blog for the Queen of Six even mentions that he helped adapt Kermit into his current incarnation. So, yeah, he did a lot of fantastic work for designs for the Muppets and Sesame Street. Saline was interviewed about his stop-motion work on Sesame Street in an article from Close Up magazine in 1976, where he was asked about the King of Eight and the Queen of Six, giving a specific, detailed look at how he made the Queen of Six segment. Saline said that Jim Henson supervised the filming, but he gave him a lot of creative freedom to do whatever he wanted. All of the backgrounds in the sketch were made of painted cardboard, with the garden itself being made out of a rug to simulate grass. When discussing the Queen herself, Saline gave not only insight on the size and scale of all the pieces in the segment, but also what regular items were used to make up the Queen. Quote, "The Queen figure was about 13 inches tall, and I wanted her to have a very Baroque Dresden sort of look. Her hoop skirt was a big lampshade that I put brocade on. She had a beautiful Marie Antoinette wig that I made out of silver thread, and I used one of those plastic Easter eggs you can buy for her head." It's so cool to see how many of the pieces that made up this figure were just made out of everyday items, from the lampshade making her dress, to a plastic Easter egg being used for her head. All of these were transformed by Saline into this beautiful little figure, complete with an elegant dress and a really well put together Marie Antoinette wig made out of thread. It's really impressive. It shows you just how impressive people like Saline were and still are. Stop motion is a beautiful and often underappreciated art form that takes so much work and effort and oftentimes requires filmmakers and creatives to get really imaginative with how they make what they make. And that's what I wanted to showcase by making this video. I wanted to show you guys just how much work went into even just this little 1-minute Sesame Street sketch. I wanted to highlight all of the incredibly talented people that came together to make it. From Jim Henson to Texter, Mercer, Saline. I also really wanted to find whoever it was that sang the Queen's Lullaby. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any credits for that. But I think it goes to show that every project, even a 1-minute little film like this, is made by a group of incredibly talented and creative people. And even though the Queen of Six segment isn't as fondly remembered as the King of Eight is, I still think that it should go down in history as a truly special Sesame Street segment. Anyway guys, thank you all so much for watching this episode of Sesame Street History Lesson. Let me know what pieces of Muppet history you'd like to see me talk about in the future, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye now.